Hello, everyone, and welcome to this most exciting call as we discuss the future of accessible travel planners. This is going to be a rather short call tonight, or a class, I guess I should say. It's kind of a class call update-y thing. We're going to just briefly discuss how we got started, where we are now, good stuff and bad stuff, just breezing over kind of the past and the evolution of how we are here now, 3 years later, from kind of when um, this whole thing really started to take off, and then of course where we are going. So, okay. So accessible travel planners. This is a little bit of our history, just a quick overview. In 2022, it was really sort of a grassroots effort as some of us started into travel agency. We were a mix of therapists, healthcare workers, teachers, um, moms, people with disabilities, just that had a shared vision for accessible travel. We knew that we could take our skill sets or our lived experiences and combine them with our passion and love of travel and our growing expertise as travel planners and travel agents, and make the world more accessible. So in 2023, after about 6 or 7 months, I started to network within I'm an occupational therapist, and I started to network in some occupational therapy groups and with some of the leaders in OT and rehab, specific, mostly on Facebook groups. And we got the word out, and we just had this positive explosion. One of my very first posts it was in a new grad group, was all about mission trips and going and doing good in other parts of the world. And it positively exploded. And then there was steady interest for about a year and a half thereafter. So to the point where we actually decided that there needed to be an official entity um, formed. And so, sort of out of necessity, but not really out of experience too much, I started a company. It was an LLC. I did it under my sort of my umbrella company, which is Dwyer Enterprises, where I've done other coaching and consulting and stuff like that for years. But I separated this out to where the mission could be clear, that we were travel planners that made the world more accessible to everybody. So in 2023, it was kind of the fall of 2023. We were like, okay, let's make this more official. And so I founded the company, and I made the initial course, which was um, specialized in accessible travel planning. That was sort of our foundational course, and it still stands today. Since then, we sold over 200 of those courses in pre-launch. I officially launched it in Las Vegas in May of 2024, and I know some of you were there when I launched it live. And then shortly thereafter, I had moved to Germany in the process and started a job here as an OT, working for a clinic that serves U.S. military kiddos. And um, so I had gotten back from that trip where we had a travel oriented retreat, and we kind of officially launched Accessible Travel Planners. And I got a call from someone at mastermind.com, which is, if you guys know, is Dean Graziosi and um, Tony Robbins. We got a call saying that they were launching a new platform that would have everything housed in one. You could house your emails and your funnels and your texting and your courses and your communities and everything all in one. And since I had housed this on a simpler platform where I had to have several platforms doing that, they said, do you want to join in on it? And do you want to also come to Scottsdale, Arizona, which is really kind of not that far from Vegas, where I had just been. It's really far from Germany though. But so I kind of did this turnaround, and in June of 2024, I went back to Scottsdale, and was part of their first launch lab live, and they helped me get set up today. And what is our platform today? It has since grown. to several hundred people have interacted within our courses, our classes, our communities, and we started about a year later. Right about a year ago, we started a certification process for travel agents and travel professionals to become accessible travel planners. So in three short years between 2022 and mid 2025, we had over 1,000 individuals that started their business with the intent of um, making the world more accessible and that travel is for everyone, regardless of age, ability, income, culture, etc., you name it. Dietary restrictions, I don't know. Service dogs, I got a service dog, so we have a lot of areas that we're going into. Okay, so got my notes here. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Um, okay, so um, of course, no journey is without its setbacks and twists and turns. And my international move was initially supposed to be this really good thing that was an opportunity that came up. It has not been as expected. I've been here for 2 years and it's not widely known yet, but I have had it was a rough couple of years where there was some health issues that came up, and in the process, then I was subsequently, when I had to go out on some longer term leave, I was terminated from my job that I had moved my entire life over here for. And I had a 6 month legal battle involved in that with a positive outcome in December. And then I am still dealing with some health issues. They're getting better, and I will actually, I'm looking more toward a return to the States probably later this year, after some things get cleared up and my health is officially cleared. But this is also another reason why I decided now is a good time to make a pivot. There was also 2025 was a really rough year, I'm not going to lie. There was an unexpected contract cancellations with the host agency and travel marketing business that I was with that I had helped bring in over 1,100 agents to. They canceled my contract with them, which was a huge hit financially to me personally, but also was a huge hit to accessible travel planners, because part of the reason that they stated was that it was a conflict of interest to have this business. And that was it. That was a huge hit, but it was also where I first realized that I needed to pivot this accessible travel planners into what it needed to be, because the core mission of accessible travel planners remains despite of all these external and personal setbacks. And it was just about a month ago that I started talking to some of my core people that have ridden this roller coaster with me, that have been with me since we first were that grassroots thing. Um, and I just was like, I actually told them, I said, I'm considering just shutting it down, because I am personally financially and my health is and everything is in a pretty rough spot. Um, Everything's improving. I'm making some personal advances, but having the setback with my business, having the setback with my career, having the setback with my health, um, is not a good reason for accessible travel planners to cease to exist. And honestly, I didn't feel good about it. And that's why I went to these people, and we're like, I spoke it almost a year ago in a in Vegas at our conference and our team retreat in Vegas this past May, where I was like, we are going to become the nonprofit that we were always meant to be. I'm always glad that I've separated it off and it wasn't just some little handout that, travel agents who became part of our organization had to help them, because accessible travel is very intricate. It's very, very involved. And even recent, like what we've learned in the last couple of years and helping people plan their trips is that we need to have more involvement. We need to help them financially. We need to provide better support. We need to be able to maneuver with the planning. We need to have, we need to go with them sometimes, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So this is all leading to 2026 being a very good fresh start, um, and on personally, but also most importantly for accessible travel planners. And uh, and just to mention, I forgot to mention, we did partner with a new agency in the last September, and then we've had about almost 60 people join us since then. I did take a couple of months off just to rest and get back, try to rest and recoup and sort of revive myself. And it's always more difficult when you're living overseas and on your own for a lot of it. Although I've had great support all along, and thankfully, Dave has been here back and forth, supporting me while he's also, supporting his mom and his family back home. So it's been a really great, and of course, Oscar, my dog has been, always the steadfast but not super helpful in these types of things. He doesn't make money; he spends it. So, um, so the future of accessible travel planners is nonprofit. We are in the process of we so just the paperwork of it. It's really hard to transition an existing business into a nonprofit, and so we are actually going to be creating a whole new thing. This also allows us to infuse some of the things that we wanted to do before, but we weren't organized. I've learned a lot. We've had people come and go that were either, you know, part of the solution temporarily, but there was a lot of mission creep that snuck in when, people get excited about this and they can form their own ideas. And so we're going to be able to start with a fresh vision. It's a group effort. Obviously, if you've ever been part of a nonprofit or founded one, you know that there's a board and we're going to have committees, and there's nothing, everything is still very much in the works. We're hiring legal, we're going through and making sure that it will be sustainable. We're looking at funding sources and what kind of nonprofit we want to be. But we have the core mission of it, and working on these things. Thankfully, there's like a chat GPT, like a special GPT that helps you with getting your articles of incorporation and making sure that all your legal dots and I's are dotted and T's are crossed or whatever the case may be. And then we also have I just have good foundational support from Mastermind, and they have a legal department that helps with these types of things. So it'll take some time, but my goal is by like late spring, early summer to be fully functional as a 501(c)(3). Of course, I will be organizing in the winners of the Super Bowl for this year in Colorado. And I can see the comments going off, but I don't know what it's saying right now. And I mean, just like 10 years ago, right? 2016. Hello. This is our year, the sixth, I guess. Um, Anyways, if you haven't watched the Elway documentary, it is fabulous on, I believe it's on Netflix. So anyways, so we're creating a whole new entity. The LLC is in Wyoming, and this will be in uh, Colorado, so that kind of makes it clean also. And eventually we will dissolve the LLC after donating. That's how it works, is we donate all the assets to the nonprofit, and it takes it out of my business hands and puts it into the nonprofit. Um, so there's a lot of that doesn't really concern anybody else, but that's just it doesn't make it any easier. It does make it a little bit easier because we're not starting from zero, but it will also give us an opportunity to make sure that we have the broadened mission that we want. So the focus is now on impact, education, assistance, and support, and also mission-based travel. So yeah, this explains a little bit more. So we're gonna work on education and empowerment. Excuse me, this little thing is moving around. Ah, okay. Okay. So education for travelers, caregivers, and travel agents. We already have this. It'll just be changing a little bit. And we'll be able to offer scholarships and financial assistance all along the way. But the goal has always been education and assistance. Because and the two will be morphing a little bit to where when we're providing the education for travelers, caregivers, we do have options for them to become their own travel planner. And that's kind of always what's been, like I became a travel agent and a travel planner initially to help myself. I have sensory sensitivities, neurodivergence, trauma. I have vision impairment. I have a facial difference where there's some cultural, things. My face doesn't always say what I want it to. And so, but I know best how to plan my own travel. So that's what we're going to be empowering the actual individual, the caregiver, the person who's going along with them, or the person themselves. We have someone on the call right now, Ian, who is such a person, where he initially reached out to another one of our people, asking for help, and then realized that he was his own best travel planner, and he is now has been part of the team. He's a certified accessible travel planner. Him and his wife are wheelchair users, and they live in the UK, and they are traveling to Orlando later this year, and a bunch of us are going to meet up. We're going to kind of make it into a ATP recon and problem solving trip, and also just to have fun and an excuse to get together. So we hope to be able to provide support and financial assistance for that trip, but certainly with all trips going forward that we're involved in, that will be also a piece, is the financial assistance, scholarships, travel grants, support for volunteers who want to go on mission trips. I've always been, I love doing mission work, especially in other countries for underserved populations. And it usually does translate into assisting those with disabilities in other countries. I mean, even like you look at the huge lack of wheelchairs or ramps and paved, solid ground for them to wheel on, and just that alone, but also kiddos and orphans and stuff that might be underdeveloped or abused or anything like that. There's a whole host of things that we can do abroad and in our own backyard. And so we will also be providing, sort of jumping around, that's the global action initiatives, but we will also be providing comprehensive travel support when needed. For example, and we're just kind of doing this one grassroots, but for example, Ian and his wife want to do some things that will require wheelchair assistance or wheelchair accessible transportation. And it's kind of deplorable and expensive how limited the selection is in Orlando and how expensive it can be. So we're just like, what if we just rented a van on the days that we needed it? We can, one of us can come and drive it. And, we're figuring that. We have a group chat going that we're just solving the problems. I've never been to Disney World, or I've been to Orlando a few times, but I've never done any of the things that people do in Orlando. It's always been for conferences and stuff. So that is one way, but that we can actually go and provide support. One of us can go and drive the van and get to the Kennedy Space Center or wherever we need to go. And then we also are big on advocacy. There's a lot of problems out there. There's just no way to solve all the millions of little problems, and people try to solve it on a systemic level. But we will aim for advocacy. Of course, as a nonprofit, you're not allowed to be partisan, nor do we want to, partisan, political, whatever. But we can do broader advocacy, even equipping our travelers to say, hey, did you know that this is inaccessible to me? Because whereas you say it's a wheelchair accessible room, or it's a room that's quieter for an autistic kiddo, there's actually construction going on underneath it. That was something that happened to me. I'm not autistic, but I am neurodivergent. And I went to a, autism certified friendly space, which to me means quiet and not super crazy. And they were also doing major construction in the unit underneath mine. And I was in an island in Spain, and I'm like, what is going on? So that's the kind of, but I'll bring it up, like I bring it up when I go, but we want to equip our travelers with education, with knowledge, to where when they go out and they experience something, that rather than having a meltdown and creating a scene, and then, you know, we don't, that one, like wheelchairs have like a 60%, like half of the wheelchairs that get put on the planes or checked as luggage get damaged. That's a huge problem. But we can also, we have another person, Lindsay Rabbit, who has, experience, like she goes and she advocates and she tells the people at TSA what she wants and what she's okay with, and makes her own choices from there. And that's something that you can't possibly do from above in a group status. You have to equip and help people advocate for themselves in real time while it's happening. So we have a lot of ways in that which that can go. I have a longer story that I can tell another time. I have actually sued the I sued a major hotel chain that I shouldn't probably say because I enjoy their fantastic rates, but they had I sued them for an ADA infraction, and whereas I didn't win, I got a settlement, which is kind of the same thing, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. So with that, ways that you can support the movement. You can buy our courses and products. So to initially support our initial funding for the nonprofit, we do have courses and communities and all that kind of stuff. And I will give you the links to the two that we have right now. You can buy those bundles if you're a travel agent or you're thinking about becoming one, or a travel professional of some sort and you want to become a certified accessible travel planner. You can buy that bundle. If you're also like a traveler, or you're curious, or you're a therapist, or you're a teacher, or your mom, or your kid, like whatever. We have another course called Accessible Journeys, and the corresponding Accessible Travel Alliance community that you can be a part of for very little money. And that'll kind of give you exposure, that'll give you resources, support, help. And then, of course, all of this will be growing and becoming bigger as we go along. You can email, these kind of got out of order, but certainly email me if you want to talk more about how you might get individually involved. So obviously, I think a fair amount of you that are on the
Hmm.
call were either available, or you were part of the, excuse me, you were part of the previous company, part of the grassroots movement. We started 3 years ago. So um, I know people have come and gone. There's been some confusion because of what happened last year, because it kind of fell out, and everything. So this is a fresh start. So this is a fresh opportunity. I saw people on here that I haven't seen for a while, and I'm glad to see you. I've been getting messages. We're starting, we're not starting from zero. We're starting from a new positive forward momentum place where we get to live out our mission, and you can be a part of the ground level of this new chapter in a lot of different ways. And one would be to because our foundation is being travel planners, right? So if you're interested in starting a travel business, just even to start helping yourself, you can start taking the courses, you can start your own travel business. In the meantime, the new agency that we partnered with, you can start your business for as little as $50 if you want to just get in, kind of get your feet wet and get the knowledge and the training. They give amazing training. I'm actually going through a lot of it myself, trying to get my own business set up and reset up. And I've also had a lot of people asking me for help planning travel. So on a baseline, it's a great way to save on your own travel and make some extra money. There's a lot of perks. And I get to say that now. I couldn't say it with the other company, but it's awesome. If you travel at all or you want to, you should do it. So you can get with the person who invited you, or get with me. We'll get you straightened out on that information. And you will also be able to have an opportunity to volunteer your time, or volunteer your time, your services, your products. Our two trips that we're kind of doing just sort of grassroots this year is the Disney on Wheels trip in June and July with Ian and his wife and their team. And then we will be in Hawaii in July. We will be in Hawaii in July, um, and doing some ATP stuff that has yet to fully take shape. But I do know we will be on Oahu on the Big Island because also our travel agency that we're partnered with is having their conference out there. And that's reason enough to join that they're having their conference in Waikiki instead of Orlando. Go get it. I mean, come on. Um, And I hear that they give away all kinds of crazy people winning cruises. We've had a few people that have actually won just by getting on calls and stuff. They've won gift cards or they won free tickets to Hawaii and stuff like that. Like they're giving away a solid amount of stuff. I am at 25 minutes, so your next steps are to contact me. You can at any time with comments or questions. Email is what's working best for me now. So even if you've previously reached out to me on Facebook Messenger, I am moving away from that. Just as part of my new listening to my body and my health and not overextending myself. Spending way less time on social media has been a huge part of that healing process. I used to spend probably 5 to 6 hours a day between posting and conversing. So you can also reach out to the person who invited you. Please do that if you know who invited you. If not, you can always um, reach out to me and I will, if you don't have a specific person that maybe you saw a post or something somewhere, we'll get you to the right person. So yes, thank you so much. I think that's it.